2 on today's public comment. Is that just for next week?
Yeah.
It's on there.
Oh, is it? We have to follow for a link?
Timing.
I would suggest
Lauren, you're gonna lose
we
your
put it
name
on there
badge.
and we print it
Oh, yeah, it's
for the
following
people
along.
that come here
Um,
and do it on the printed thing because they're not gonna go to a
The
link.
one thing I
The old
noticed
school
out in
people
Nico is that there were a lot of clerks
People, Mr.
there and a
Bonte.
lot of county
If that's what you'd like, I'd be happy to put that on there.
66.
Maybe
administrators,
we
health
could-
officers, and,
You
yeah.
should be.
sheriffs.
And you should.
Maybe we could come
They
up
had
with
a lot
a
of
shortened
really
version
good,
to put on there, so
useful
it doesn't
things for
Well,
block
it's
out the agenda.
It is an agenda item, so I think that's the end, so, for sure.
All right.
Oh,
Hey, look at that. Is everybody ready?
um,
Beautiful. It is now 9 a.m. and we're going to call this meeting early. Let me put my glasses on so I can see what I'm doing. And we're going to call this meeting order. If you join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
so good to be here.
Thank you, everyone. In today's opening ceremonies and invocation, it'd be Commissioner Spence, if you please.
Thank you. I'm shooting from the hip a little bit this morning, just because I had some things going through my head that I wanted to reflect on. But there's been some recent issues where it's important to remember what we do as counties, what we do as county commissioners, as opposed to our townships, city government, and maybe even villages. But we are keeping our county healthy. If our county's not healthy, we can't be strong, and if our county's not healthy, we can't have a strong economy. And with that being said, we have this great court system. I was invited to go to drug court yesterday, 86th District Court, to see someone graduate from drug court. And this is tied into having a healthy county. We have a court system that helps to get people back to work, get them healthy so that they can be a good member of our community. And I got to see that yesterday, which was really cool. So health's the foundation of our county. And yesterday I got to see our drug court that's helping people through their recovery process, especially our 86th District Court, drug court yesterday, and the graduation. I heard a lot of people talk about how it takes a team to pull people through addiction, and they can't do it alone. Our county's court system is part of that recovery effort, which includes sobriety court, which reduces recidivism, and recovery court. We are Health and Human Services here at Grand Traverse County, including our public health clinic and our public health department, our behavioral and mental health care that we give to our residents, our pavilions, nursing home, which provides long-term care. Also went to their picnic recently and saw that the people that work at our county pavilions, long-term care facility, have a lot of struggles with affordability and living in Grand Traverse County. So it's important for us as county commissioners to think about these types of people who live within our county and look to them and try to help them. We also provide substance abuse treatment and public health inspections to keep our county residents and our county healthy. So I just wanted to wrap that up with one of the things that we do as county commissioners is we support and make decisions about our court system and our public health department and our health and human services, which separates us from what other local units of government do, like townships, villages, in our city. Thanks.
Thank you. And I am going to piggyback on that. I know it's a little long thing, but I was cleaning out my office the other day, and I have 2 certificates from Michigan Association of Counties in recognition of their status of a 1-year certificate for Commissioner Spence and for Commissioner Andrews. I've had them since, when was that, April? So I apologize, and so here they are for you.
Oh, thank you.
Having said that, thanks, Nate. Mr. Gedman, if you could do a roll call for us, please.
Certainly. Commissioner Andrews?
Here.
Commissioner Flynn?
Here.
Commissioner Henschel?
I'm here.
Commissioner McAllister?
He is en route.
Commissioner Morris?
Here.
Commissioner Nelson?
Here.
Commissioner Spence?
Here.
Commissioner Walter,
Here.
and Commissioner Seifert.
Here. Okay, so we're going to go to first public comment. If you notice, there's a little bit of a change. We're going to be talking about that later in the meeting today, but, so, I'm going to read the rules today to give Mr. Gedman a break, because he's going to be busy here shortly. Any person shall be permitted to address a meeting of the Board of Commissioners, which is required to be open to the public under the provisions of the Michigan Open Meetings Act. Public comment shall be carried out in accordance with the following board rules and procedures. Any person wishing to address the board may state his or her name and township or district, providing a specific address is not recommended. Persons may address the board on matters of or issues which are relevant and germane to county government as determined by the chairperson. No person shall be allowed to speak more than once on the same matter, excluding time needed to answer commissioners' questions, if any. The chairperson shall control the amount of time each person shall be allowed to speak, which shall not exceed 3 minutes. The chairperson may, at his or her discretion, allow an additional opportunity or time to speak if determined germane and necessary to the discussion. Public comment will be solicited during the 2 public comment periods noted in Rule 5.4, Order of Business. However, public comment may be received during the meeting when a specific agenda topic is scheduled for discussion by the board. Prior to the first public comment, the chairperson will indicate the topics on the agenda for which public comment will be accepted. Members of the public wishing to comment should raise their hand in order to be recognized and shall not address the board until called upon by the chairperson. The board shall not comment or respond to a person who is addressing the board. Silence or non-response from the board should not be interpreted as disinterest or disagreement by the board. Please be respectful and refrain from personal or political attacks. Yeah, there's a lot of work we could do there, Mr. Gedman, to your comments earlier. Anybody wishing to speak at this time, please go to the podium. Come right on up. Going to enforce the 3-minute rule for sure.
Morning, Commissioners. My name is Juliette Schultz, and I am with the Women's Resource Center. And our mission is to protect, shelter, and empower all people impacted by domestic and sexual violence. Last week, we heard that our funding will be cut 15 to 20%. That's funding that directly supports our emergency shelter. We, Jen and I, are actually here today to thank you for the marijuana funding that you approved for our emergency shelter operations. It's become very critical to us in maintaining the services to domestic and sexual violence survivors. Jen wrote the grant, so I'm going to let her talk to you a little bit about the impact.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jen Duttmers, and I'm the grant administrator at the Women's Resource Center. And I just wanted to share that your funding helped us provide over 350 nights of safe shelter, meals, laundry, and supportive services to survivors and their children who were fleeing violence. And last year we helped over 130 survivors. Around 60 were children aged 0 to 17. So your support for our emergency shelter is invaluable, and we are really grateful for what you're doing to support survivors in our community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Kelly McIntosh could not attend, so she asked me to read her comments. Patricia McIntosh, East Bay Township. For months, I've been wondering just how long you will continue to kick the issue of Twin Lakes Park down the road. The transfer to Long Lake Township did not follow protocol and was basically illegal. If you as a board were acting in good faith, you would meet with the plaintiffs and their attorney to settle this problem. Do you believe that because the donor of this wonderful gift is dead, you don't have to follow his wishes? The terminology leaves no doubt as to what he wanted, his property to become a county park. The fact that Long Lake Township is refusing to work with you cannot stop your efforts. Unfortunately, the past leadership of the Grand Traverse County Commission allowed the unlawful transfer of this property. The current leadership is now in a position to right this wrong. Stop coming up with excuses and act to bring about the positive solution. Now my turn. Kay Gallagher, Ingraham, Long Lake Township. I'm standing here today because the taxpayers and neighbors of Long Lake Township deserve the plain truth. When people look at this fight, it's a classic David and Goliath story. On one side, you've got everyday residents using social media as our only megaphone just to get the truth out. On the other side, you've got institutional power hiding behind access to large funds of money, lawyers, and secret talks. Let's be clear about why my father, Jim Gallagher, and his friend, Chas McCall, filed this lawsuit in the first place. They didn't do it for fun, and they didn't do it to be difficult. They brought this suit because the deed explicitly dictates how Twin Lakes Park must be held for the public, how you now have opened up the likelihood of the Judge Gilbert descendants acquiring a 106.7-acre parcel, and how Michigan state law governs how local government must operate when entrusted with donated land. The turmoil and the mudslinging in this community were caused by this board and previous boards because you refused to follow your own policies. You considered yourselves instead of the residents, and you violated the Open Meetings Act. You could have stopped all this long before a lawsuit was ever filed, but instead of taking accountability, the message to us now is basically, yeah, we did all that, but just move on. Well, we aren't just moving on. Behind closed-door negotiations are the exact reason we are standing in this room today. Right now, Long Lake Township residents are being asked to pay up front for the remodel of the dormitory building based on vague promises of future income. But how can anyone trust those promises when the trustees have never been transparent or accountable for the actual revenues expenses at Twin Lakes Park? As a bookkeeper, I know you don't ask people to write a check when you don't show them the books. Member of this board publicly stated that you want to meet directly with the plaintiffs. If you meant what you said, then end the secret dealings today. Stop conducting public business in the dark. Follow your own rules. Uphold the deed and the state law, and deliver the full transparency to this community.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak at this time?
Good morning. Brace Kern, office in Garfield Township, home in Long Lake Township. As you know, I'm the attorney representing the neighborhood in Twin Lakes Park litigation. And I wanted to thank you for your effort last month in agreeing to offer to sit down to have a conversation instead of just turning to the court system. And just to give you a little status update, the township issued a press release spreading misinformation about the details and declined the offer by you to sit down and have a conversation about it. And my question is that the end of it? Is your motion satisfied by the simple offer and Long Lake Township's refusal, and is that the end of it? Should I just move on and file suit? I guess I'm looking for direction. Or are you going to take another step to say maybe we should send a county commissioner to a township meeting and encourage the township to pass a motion to at least just have a conversation, because how could it hurt? And that's all I'm asking for, is let me know. I don't want to be in the dark to know whether we're just being ghosted or you're going to continue to take action. So thank you.
Thank you. Any more comments at this time? Going once, going twice. All righty, we're going to move right along. I would love to entertain a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Awesome. We have a movement by Commissioner Henschel, or a motion by Commissioner Henschel, excuse me. Seconded by Commissioner McAllister to approve the agenda as presented. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed say nay. Fantastic. The consent calendar. Mr. Gedman, if you please.
Certainly. The purpose of the consent calendar is to expedite business by grouping non-controversial items together to be dealt with by one commission motion without discussion. Any member of the commission, staff, or the public may ask that any item on the consent calendar be removed and placed elsewhere on the agenda for full discussion. Such requests will be automatically respected. If any item is not removed from the consent calendar, the action noted to receive and file or approve is approved by a single commission action adopting the consent calendar. All information identified on the consent calendar can be viewed in its entirety on the county's website. Items to receive. Item A1, Board of Public Works, June 2026 meeting minutes. Item A2, the Northwest Regional Airport Authority, May 2026 meeting minutes. Item A3, the Safe Harbor Shelter Utilization Report, June 2026. Item A4, Local Government Retirement System Annual Report for 2025. Item A5, May and June 2026 General Fund Revenue and Expenditure Budget Status Reports. Item A6, the Treasurer's Update. Item A7, ARPA Status Report. Item A8, County Clerk, appointment of county canvasser to fill a vacancy. Item A9, marijuana revenue funding allocations update. Item A10, August 7, 2026, Court of Appeals ruling on Beta litigation. Items for approval. Item B1, adoption of Board of County Commission meeting minutes. Item B2, Senior Center Network, First Amendment to Intergovernmental Agreement. Item B3, Health Department's annual contract renewal for electronic health record software. Item B4, uninterruptible power supply purchase confirmation. Item B5, Kroll Professional Services renewal. Item B6, Ravner Video Content Management Platform renewal. Item B7, June 2026 claims approval. Item B8, 2026 budget amendments. Item B9, PACE Building Purchase Agreement. Item B10, recommendation to award request for proposal for Project Alpha 911 Technology Consulting.
Thank you. Would anybody like any of those items on the consent calendar pulled? Commissioner Walter?
A6,
A6.
the treasurer update.
Okay. Anyone else? Commissioner Andrews?
A9, marijuana revenue.
Okay. Is there anything else? All right, well, I'll take a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the consent calendar with the exceptions of A6 and A9.
Support. Fantastic. Commissioner Henschel made the motion, support with Commissioner Nelson, that we will approve the consent calendar with the exceptions A6 and A9. Roll call vote, please, Mr. Gibbon, when you are ready.
Commissioner Andrews?
Yes.
Commissioner Flynn?
Yes.
Commissioner Henschel?
Yes.
Commissioner McAllister?
Yes.
Commissioner Morris?
Yes.
Commissioner Nelson?
Yes.
Commissioner Spence?
Yes.
Commissioner Walter?
Yes.
Commissioner Seifert?
Yes. Thank you, everyone. And looking at that and our agenda, we're going to go right to A6. Mr. Walter?
Yes. I don't see the treasurer here, so I have a question for him. So I'm not really sure what to do with that. It's related to his memo about reconciliations and expectation of making progress, and there's a lot of vague statements in here about timeframes and what's going on, and given the audit information that we're going to discuss later, I wanted to have wanted some answers on his report, but maybe is he going to be here later for the audit discussion that we know of?
I'm not aware of that.
Not that I'm aware of. What?
We could delay that discussion until we take it up with the audit and then decide if we want to receive it or postpone it.
Yeah.
What I was also going to say is, like, if you had specific questions, that you could just write them out as an email. We could send it to him, and we could make a formal invitation for him to show up next week to answer those questions.
I mean, I also just wanted to hear, it sounded like some training what happened in July. I wanted to hear about that and staff and how that's going over and things like that as well, so.
All right, well, we'll reach out.
Yeah, I guess I always assume that if somebody puts a report in here that they're going to be here to answer questions about it, but I guess not.
Yeah, we've had some discussion about that as well, and through the conversations we've had with Commissioner Seifert, the treasurer, and I, conversations with Matt as well. He is responsible to comply with the direction to provide a memo, and that was not necessarily meaning he was going to be in attendance to discuss, but I certainly will ask him to be here.
You want to make it a formal request? You want to make a motion?
I support that because this 2025 audit further down on our agenda has some issues and things of note that are, I thought, alarming and tie into what would be a better treasurer's report. I think you know what I'm talking about. It's in the fine print of that 2025 audit, but I think these reports need to be more thorough and not as broad stroked.
I'll make the motion that we delay the action on item A6 until after we consider the audit under 8A.
Support.
All right, we have a motion from Commissioner Andrews, support from Commissioner Morris, that we delay discussion on A6 until after we hear the audit report. Any more comments, questions, or concerns? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Say nay. All right, thank you, everyone. Now we're moving on, I believe, to A9.
Yeah, thank you. And I see Jenny popped down here. I see I appreciate that we got reports from, I think, 6 out of 13 or 7 out of 13 of the recipients of grant funding, but there were 6 or so that didn't provide reports, some of which had already spent their funding. And since this was a report that was for the first 6 months of the year, I'm just wondering when we should expect those.
Yeah, good question. One has actually come in since items were due for this meeting, so that will be forthcoming. A few others I've been in touch with all of them, but others should be coming soon. We'll certainly keep in touch with them until we get those reports. They do know that they're expected.
So I'd like to make the motion then. I think I would like to have all of them, and I also think it would be useful for us in evaluating these reports to have a copy of what they said they were going to do. So the applications, I know that was a prior meeting, many meetings ago. I think it's probably even on consent. But if, I'll make the motion that we delay receipt of the marijuana funding allocations reports until the August 19th meeting, to include hopefully all reports and a link to their applications.
We could do that. I'm not sure we'll have all of them by the 19th. We could shoot for the 2nd, but yeah, I would agree that more information would be helpful.
Can you
Understandable.
light a fire under people who receive
Absolutely.
public funding to maybe get those reports to us on?
Absolutely.
Before that gets seconded, no, I guess I'll second it. I'd like to make a friendly motion. Can we make it till the 2nd of September?
Sure. If that increases the odds that we get those,
I think that
what appear
should.
to be relatively straightforward reports, I'll
Agreed.
accept that.
Are there time restrictions on that?
It was for the first 6 months of the year.
No, I understand that part, so
Oh, the
he pushed it
spending.
to September or whatever, so I was just asking. Doesn't matter at this point?
Each contract that every applicant signed gave them a one-year limit to spend the funds. So
Yes.
Jenny, it would be appropriate to remind them
Yep,
of their contractual obligations.
absolutely.
So
We
1
can
year
do
from
that.
when they signed, so not necessarily the
No,
first,
no,
1 year, they were
1 year
approved.
from January 1.
January 1? Oh, okay.
And they were supposed to provide a mid-year report on the status. So I don't think that's an unreasonable request to have those in September.
So could you restate that?
So the motion is that we defer any action on the marijuana revenue funding allocation reports until the first meeting in September, and at that point, bring back the applications or a link to them and a spending update.
We can do that.
And I seconded that.
Are you good with that?
Yes, thank you.
Any comments, questions, or concerns for the motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. All right, moving right along. Well, we're, look at that. 8A. Departmental items, the 2025 audit report.
Good morning, Commissioners. As you're well aware, we have an audit report. We were successful in submitting our audit this year on time and in good fashion. There are obviously concerns in that audit report. Mr. Bott is here and prepared to have a discussion with you about the findings in the audit.
Thank you, Administrator Alger. But before I get to that, the entire audit report is included in your packet. My cover letter is on page 353. We actually prepare something that's a little more in-depth than an audit report. Ours is a comprehensive financial report, and we do that primarily so we can submit the report to the Government Finance Officers Association for their certificate of achievement. We want to try to obtain that award every year for our annual comprehensive financial report. And as you can see, we did receive one for 2024. That's on page 367 in the packet, so that's for the previous audit report. We did submit the 2025 annual comprehensive report to the Government Finance Officers Association for review. Probably won't know until January or February of 2027 if we're receiving that award for the 2025 audit. But I'm just going to hit a couple of key items in the audit report, if you can follow along, I don't know if you have that called up.
Yep.
So on page 370 is the independent auditors report, and that's key.
Can you provide both, whatever number you're using, because I don't have that number, but
Yeah, mine go to 220.
Yeah, mine
Yeah.
is
220.
Yeah, I
220
think
or.
it's-
So,
I think he's
would
on
you say
page
370
18
would
of,
probably
it's
be
page,
17 or 18?
it's page 18 of 220.
There you go.
Okay, thank you.
That's the report that the auditors provide, and it's key to note they're independent. I do not influence or sway this report. They're telling you straight up how we're doing, and the first and probably the most important part of that report is the opinion section. And if you look at the second paragraph, we basically received a good, clean opinion. It's called an unmodified opinion. That's what you want. You certainly don't want them to come in and tell you that, boy, we can't issue an opinion on your financial statements. I was not concerned that we would have that situation, but there's always different types of opinions, modifications to an unqualified opinion, and happy to report that we got the best opinion, an unmodified or unqualified opinion, so that's good news. There's a lot of information in that report, their report basically telling us what we're responsible for and what they're responsible for. It was work. It was definitely, this was a challenge to get the report completed and filed with the Michigan Department of Treasury on time. So that was good. When we file that report, within a day or two, we will know if there are any issues with that report. If, for example, if we have budget deficits, if you can scroll through the document to page 58 of 220, we're actually in the notes to the financial statements. That's a good read some night if you're not able to fall asleep.
Every night.
I'm sure it'll put you to sleep before you get too far into it. But note 2 reports on whether or not we were not in compliance with the budget that's adopted by the board. Happy to report that there were no expenditures that were incurred in excess of the amounts that were budgeted. So that's another plus in our favor. We do try to avoid any budget variances, especially ones that would have to be reported or included, because you do have to explain or provide Treasury with a written explanation as to why you spent more money than was authorized by the appropriations measurement or resolution. So happy to report that we were good there also. The other concern then is, do you have any funds that end the year with a deficit? If you go to page 89 of 220, it's almost to the end of the note, but there's a note 13, deficit fund equity. We did have a couple of funds that ended the year with not necessarily a total deficit in a fund balance or a fund position. You see the Grand Traverse Pavilions is listed in one of our debt service funds. The good thing about those deficits, if there is such a thing as a good thing about a fund that has a deficit, is for the pavilions, it was in a component, it was only part of the fund balance was negative, and that was the unrestricted net position. They're working on improving that bottom line, so to speak. They have made some progress this year, but they still have some work to do in that regard. The PACE Debt Service Fund, I did not realize that as part of the settlement, we could make that payment with the settlement proceeds. And I think that was the plan regarding the use of those proceeds. It was unfortunate, though, that we did not receive those funds until March of 2026. And for a fund such as that Building Authority debt fund to be able to recognize that settlement, you have to have it within 60 days of the end of our fiscal year. We missed it by a couple of weeks. So I actually recorded a transaction to show that those funds were used to cover that debt payment, but the auditor said that was not, well, I was not able to do that. So we did end the year with a deficit in
Was
that
that
fund.
covered 100%?
It has been covered. And in discussing that with Treasury, neither situation here that's listed in Note 13 required us to submit a deficit elimination plan. So good, no problem. It just takes time to cure both of those deficits. So with the pavilions, they did not have to submit a deficit elimination plan because their current assets exceed their current liabilities by more than that deficit amount. So cash flow, at least at 12/31/2025, they were able to rely on their working capital position to not have to submit a deficit elimination plan. So that was good. Happy to answer any questions about the report itself. There's a lot of information. I am responsible for every page, every number, every note in that audited report, the entire report. What makes it different than just a plain Jane audit report is the information in the front. There's a management discussion and analysis, and then the statistical information that's in the back. Those are items that are a notch above just a basic audit report, but those are required to be able to submit that report to the GFOA, the Government Finance Officers Association, for consideration for their Certificate of Achievement award. So we did have, obviously, the general fund. We had an increase in our fund balance. I think the amount was about $1.5 million. Which was good. That was about what we budgeted to do. A lot of the other funds had increases in fund balance. Some had, some decreases, but they were budgeted uses of fund balance. So as far as a financial report, the numbers were pretty solid at the end of 2025.
I would just like to add that Mr. Bott, his team, and others that are helping assist with the audit, they worked diligently to get this done quickly and on time. It's not just Grand Traverse County. They also have, as you saw, they saw pavilions, and the road commission are also part and parcel to our audit. So sometimes that communication between entities gets a little clunky. Information is sometimes slow to flow. And I just thank Mr. Bott, his team, for the diligence that they have taken to get this taken care of and done on time.
So as soon as we submit the audit report to Treasury, also by the end of June, it was on the receive part of your agenda today, that retirement report is due by June 30th. That was submitted on time as well, reporting the status of our pension, retirement, and our other post-employment benefit, as far as any health liabilities that we have regarding retiree health. We also include the pavilions in that report, so you can see there's two columns, one for the retirement pension system and one for the OPEB, or other post-employment benefits. Our benefit that we provide is some form of health, retiree health insurance. We're required to report the assets that we have in those plans, as well as the actuarial information regarding what that liability looks like based on an evaluation, and then primarily the percentage that we are funded. In addition, part of that report down at the bottom, we have to use what's known as uniform assumptions, which is something that the state requires us to do to make sure that everybody is basically measured using the same actuarial assumptions. We also submit, after we submit the audit report, what's known as a qualifying statement with municipal finance, so that we're able to issue bonds without going long form. That was especially critical this year because we had the Project Alpha financing that we were working on. And today, believe it or not, August 12th, we are receiving the funds from that bond sale that occurred on July 22nd. I know I received information that the wire transfer was made by the entity that purchased the county bonds. Let the treasurer know that that wire was coming. We should have those funds in our bank account probably, if we don't have them now, by 10 o'clock this morning. So. The other item is the letter to the board. It's called the Letter of Governance. And I'm going to read what I prepared in my cover memo, just so you have a sense for what's in that two-page letter. There's quite a bit in it. It communicates the significant audit results, any difficulties encountered in performing the audit, corrected and uncorrected misstatements, disagreements with management, management representations, management consultations with other independent accountants, other audit findings or issues, other matters, and restrictions on the use of this information. So they do or did point out or note on the second page there were some issues and things that we should be concerned about and working on. I think there's 6 bullet points on this page 572 in the packet. Not sure what page. Got to be right around 220.
220 in ours.
So I'm going to open it up for questions. I can walk you through each item. We are working on each of those items. Some we've made good progress on. Others, we still have quite a bit of work to do.
Yeah, can you just walk through each one then?
Sure. And I see that the treasurer is here. First one, we noted investment reports were not consistently provided to the board during the year. We recommend the treasurer provide investment reports to the board each month. And I personally think each month is a little excessive, but that's what the auditors are recommending. So, the second item, bank reconciliations were not completed timely or accurately. We recommend bank reconciliations be completed accurately within 30 days of the month end. This is probably the most significant item as far as work that needs to be done. I have been working with the treasurer on a definite plan to address this. We put that plan together. The treasurer gave me a plan yesterday. We have a goal that's pretty aggressive in my opinion, but we want all the bank accounts reconciled by the end of this month. We don't have all of our accounts reconciled as of today. And then the third bullet, we noted there was a significant delay in the timing of payments being receipted in the county's accounting system. This often occurs months after the amounts were deposited into the bank accounts and resulting in inaccurate accounting records. That also is, we've made improvements in that area, but we still have work to do. The treasurer is currently at full staffing. He has one person that is out on leave, status yet to be determined, but for all practical purposes, I believe he's at full staffing. So they are making progress, and their goal on a daily basis is to stay current with all of the deposit and activity that comes in. And we absolutely need to do that. I mean, we have departments that will call. We had a call yesterday from one of our department directors looking to see if we had received a payment that they were expecting. We were able to tell them that we did, but we had not received that payment in. And that work, the receiving, is done by the treasurer's office. I do not do that. We do not do that in finance. The fourth bullet, we observe instances where federal and state payroll taxes were not being remitted timely, resulting in penalties and interest. So far, we've actually gone after this one, and we're actually recording those transactions and making sure that the payments are being made timely. For federal tax deposits, those deposits have to be made within 3 days, and the state tax deposits, not quite as frequently, but we are making sure that those transactions are recorded the week that we do payroll, and we are making sure those payments are made that same week. So we've cleared that issue entirely, or resolved that issue entirely. The fifth bullet, we noted the county did not follow its policy or state requirements for delinquent tax notifications. Notifications were not documented, or some that were documented were not sent timely. Now, the treasurer does have a difference of opinion with the auditor on this point. I know he was going to discuss that particular item with our auditor, and I'm not sure what that resolution was. The treasurer feels that the notifications were properly documented and sent out, so. And then the last item, the software being used by the county for financial reporting does not accommodate producing financial reports or ease of lookup of individual transactions within the system. Based on other software we have observed, we believe significant efficiencies could be gained with the better finance and accounting software. There's a lot to unravel in that comment. It's clear, though, that the auditors, they're not fans of our Workday ERP system, but we are meeting on a regular basis, monthly, to address those major issues that my department has and the treasurer with the software. One of those is with the receipting function itself, because we use a different system software for receipting. It's called Teller. Teller is not directly integrated with Workday. There is integration, but it's not a direct one-to-one relationship. Our IT director has been working with me on that. I have a meeting, a discussion with Teller tomorrow. For us, it's hard to go into the accounting transactions. We can see that there's a revenue or a receipt, but without logging into Teller, I can't see, or I don't know, is that a state revenue sharing payment, or is it something that maybe is not receipted in the right account? So you've got to go into another application to be able to see something that should really be evident in that base transaction that's recorded in your accounting record. And I think their other main issue was with it is hard to run reports. We are able to generate, in most cases, a spreadsheet to produce the reports that they need to be able to audit the records. Payroll records are unbelievably clunky because of the sheer volume of transactions that make up the payroll entries. You know, we have 500 some employees that are all entering time, and there are just simply a lot of transactions. We're working on we have a payroll distribution report. We need to do some more work with developing some internal reports that are a little bit easier for us to read, and then for the auditor to understand. And then the budgeting. The budgeting is a separate application within MyGTC Workday. It's actually two applications within one application that then has to be published into the accounting system. So it's not necessarily a clean, easy process. That's it in my opinion.
Any questions?
Trying to be brief.
No, I think it was great. Commissioner Nelson?
On that last one, have you communicated with Workday to try to, I'm assuming you have, but to try to work this out?
We work directly with a Workday consultant on the budgeting component, and our system administrator, Sarah Adams, has a pretty good understanding we have a better understanding of what we had when we first, started working with the system. Again, the real issue is with the employees, all of the items that make up like my position, my salary, my benefits, taking all of that information and putting it into the appropriate expenditure line items in the appropriate cost centers. It's to get everything, managed so that you have all of those costs and then are able to roll them into your not only the budget, which we're working on now, but then when the budget needs to be published up into the accounting portion of Workday, a lot of steps.
And-
We're working on ways to make sure, well, last year, we used the adaptive planning component of the budgeting process, and we had difficulties publishing it, which is simply taking it from here and putting it over here. That's my easy explanation. It's not quite that.
I know what you mean, yeah.
But when you have a problem taking what you have here, what the board approved, and putting it over here, with, you know, when you're trying to do that before you start your fiscal year and you can't figure out what we did wrong, it wasn't set up right by the consultant that we used. So, and maybe we should have asked better questions when we were working with them, so.
Well, and the hallmark of a good software is that you can pull data out in almost any parameters you give it, and so that is frustrating that.
We had some records that weren't set up correctly.
Right, yeah.
Sarah was able to figure out, Sarah Adams, the system administrator, and we do not anticipate having that problem when we publish the 2027 budget. So live and learn.
Okay. Good. Well, thanks to you and your entire team for getting through this. This has been, I'm sure, some headaches. We appreciate it.
Commissioner Walter.
Yeah, this is a question about the reconciliations that came up again in the audit, and we've been hearing about this for months and months and months now, and that we're behind, but we're going to get caught up, and we've got a plan to get caught up, and we're really on top of it now, and we're going to get there. And then we're hearing it again today, and just say I don't have a lot of faith that that's going to happen. So how is it going to be different now to get caught up and to stay caught up? Because this has been flagged in the audit report now for 2-3 years.
You're absolutely right. We've been telling you this for quite a while. It took a long time to get 2025. You know, we were probably reconciling accounts into April of 2026 so that we could complete the audit and not have a situation where we couldn't issue, or the auditors couldn't give an opinion on our financial records. So, you know, and then you're aware of the issues that the treasurer has had with staffing and with the settlement process, tax. It's been a long learning curve for our treasurer. He certainly is putting in the time. I think he can tell you I am in his office every day. I am pushing him harder than I have pushed him previously, and I did tell him a couple weeks ago that I needed a plan on the reconciliation process. I have capacity in my department to assist with that. He's offered some training because I think we can go in and do more of the normal items. Some things we can match up and do the reconciliation work quite easily. He has identified, though, a couple of things that they can do as part of their daily reconciliation work that he shared with me yesterday that I think will help them stay current but have time to do the work that needs to be caught up. One of those things is we do receive quite a few payments, credit card transactions. Those credit card payments that are coming to the county, you know, that's information that generally goes directly to the bank account, but you have to account for that in your accounting records. They have determined that if they can account for that on a daily basis, that is one way to stay, to be more efficient in that whole overall process. I think it would be best for maybe him to tell you or report on what they're doing. I don't know if he wants to talk to that today or wait until, you know, he's on the agenda. Are we going back to that?
It's on the agenda as part of the audit.
Part of this.
But, you know, all I can do is we've offered our assistance. He's been receptive. He's been listening to my concern and my, I would like to have a normal life, to be honest with you. And
Yeah. I mean,
and I believe he would as well.
You're getting out of accounting, you're saying?
What?
You're getting out of accounting so you can have a normal life, or?
Well, just to have a more So 10-hour days aren't bad, but when you're here evenings and weekends, and that's not good for him and his staff either. They're putting in some overtime, and I do think, though, there are probably some ways where if he's willing to let us look at some of the things that he's doing, we might find ways to be more efficient. But he's been receptive. He's not throwing me out of his office. I was down yesterday saying, hey, what can we do today? I've done all I can do in this month. They have a cash spreadsheet that they maintain for all of the daily amounts that are coming in. They did provide that to me because I wanted to be able to go in and see if I could match up or reconcile more of the transactions, but not having that actual, maybe the documentation that makes up the deposit, the receipts and the checks. I don't want to do anything that's going to mess us up. I'm kind of to the point where I need to know more about how they batch their deposits, and he was kind of walking me through some of that yesterday. So we're working at it, but we need to get there.
So if you recall back in May, late May actually, the treasurer and the chairman signed an MOU for splitting of duties, so to speak. We've had a lot of conversation with council about treasurer's required obligations, what he is required to do statutorily, what we can and cannot do, and Treasurer Callahan was willing to work with us on that MOU, and they have essentially split some of those duties between the treasurer's office and the finance office to try to catch up, get up to speed, to make sure that the county is performing as we should. Certainly there are still challenges with that we're still working through, but we do have that MOU in place, and that allows finance to do some of these things, and we're just hoping that we can continue to expand that reach so that we can make sure that we're on solid ground.
One of the things that we have to be careful of too, it's a term item known as internal accounting control. There are some things that, as the finance director, I should not do. I should not handle cash, because my staff and we have access to the accounting records. And so we have to maintain a separation of certain duties to maintain that internal accounting control. I think where we've helped significantly, though, is with the payroll. Our accounting system, I mentioned briefly how many payroll transactions there are, and how we're doing more of some of the work that used to be done by the treasurer's office regarding the payroll liabilities, federal tax withholding, state tax withholding, amounts that are withheld from an employee's pay. The system puts those liabilities in each of the cost centers where the payroll is recorded. I don't know why it does that. That's not a very good system. That's the way the system was built. That's the way Workday is. We do the entry every payroll to put those liabilities in the two funds that they're paid out of. It makes the accounting records that much easier for us to work with. And it also makes it better for us to make sure that those payments are being accounted for correctly in that trust and agency fund, the tax deposits that I talked about. And we are doing those entries the same week that we process payroll. The treasurer and his staff were doing those entries through like last July. This year, a couple months ago, we did take over recording those tax deposits that were made, that were mentioned as an issue, not being timely made. We are making sure, and they are fully cooperating with us on that to make sure. But those are things we're taking off of their plate so they can concentrate on the people that come in at the counter. I don't have people coming into my counter. Nobody wants to come and see me. So they're taking care of the people that come in to make payments. They have a lot of transactions, a lot of activity coming into our accounts that needs to be accounted for. And I think having the staffing and a process and me pushing them, I do believe we're going to get there, because like I said, I want a normal life here soon.
Mr. Spence.
Hi, thanks. My townships, I go to the monthly township meetings for Blair and Garfield Township and also the road commission, and they haven't shared any improvement with what they're getting and how their relationship with our treasurer. There's been so much frustration expressed to me when I give the commission report about it, and I haven't heard anything that shows that there's been improvement. So I just want to speak on behalf of the township treasurers and how they're working with our treasurer and express my frustration and not feeling like I'm a good representative of the county when it comes to the townships.
Commissioner, thank you for mentioning that. I am a township treasurer in the county, and I have had a discussion last week with our treasurer regarding, the tax payment that I'm making. I want to make sure those payments are being receipted in a timely manner, and I think, I don't know where he's at with that process, but those payments are required to be turned over, made every 2 weeks during a tax collection cycle. So that is another thing that you'll want to have maybe some update from him on when you do talk to him. But I've asked for that same thing. They need to be accounted for, and right now with the summer taxes being collected, that's county revenue that needs to be receipted in and recorded.
Mr. Bott, I don't want to put you on the spot, but if you know more about this than we do, so the internal workings of it. So if you were us, what would you do? I think we're all sort of at a loss of how to move forward when we keep hearing the same things over and over and it's not being resolved. Some things are, it sounds like, which is good. But again, next year we're going to see this on our audit again because it's August and we're having the same
I hope
problems.
not. If we have all of our accounts reconciled current when the auditors show up, that won't be a repeat finding. If the accounts are not reconciled, it would be a repeat finding, and that would be 3 years in a row. That's not a situation I want to deal with. I mean, we have to have these accounts reconciled. They should be reconciled within 30 days of receiving your bank. You can pull your bank statement anytime. I mean, if you're past the end of a month, you can pretty much pull that bank statement and get to work on reconciling that account, the next day.
We've been hearing that since last year, the reconciliation
I know
problem.
it's not something I control directly.
I know.
So
That's why I'm asking and I appreciate your help on it.
well, like I said, all I can do is be down there every day and say, hey, where we're at. I've got staff that can help. Where can we work to help you get there? That's my goal. That's my plan. I will be down meeting with Jamie every day, the treasurer, making sure that, come December 1st, we're clean. We're good to roll. We maybe get the auditors in early. That's what I'd like to see.
Commissioner Andrews.
Yeah, thank you. I just want to go back to your comment that we hope not to see this a third time, but on April 8th of this year at a study session, we were told that for both the first and second quarter of 2026, we were not up to date on reconciliations on a 30-day basis.
Correct.
Are we up to date now?
No, we're
So
not.
how are we not going to see a third report, a third audit report in a row for 2026 saying that we are not providing reconciliations on a 30-day basis?
Well, I think the auditors would, they're obviously aware of the issue. We may not have the same auditor. And I would make a strong argument that, yes, we had that situation. We had that situation through June 30th. I think the critical quarter is right now. And the treasurer is telling me he understands that. By the end of August, we want to be current. I think we'd get some grace if we had. I don't say that lightly. I mean, I have some credibility with most auditing firms. If we're telling them that we can explain that we had staffing issues or we still had, a learning curve. We've got 2 new people, 3 new people in that department. You just, takes time.
So are you saying that even though the first 3 quarters of 2026, we did not provide reconciliations within 30 days of closing the month out, there's a chance that our audit for 2026 will not include a note that we were behind on reconciliations for 2026? That they would excuse the first 3 quarters of the year?
Honestly, Commissioner, I can't tell you that, but that would be my argument. If we can show them that as of some point in time in this quarter, the third quarter, we're current. If we're not current in this quarter, they should write us up.
Okay, well, can we go back to another item that was in last year's in the audit, which is the investment reports on a monthly basis? And maybe this is a question for the treasurer. I don't remember the last time we saw an investment report. Can we get those on a monthly basis?
I would suggest that we did move an item from the consent calendar to discuss after Mr.
That's-
Bott was done with his presentation.
Then
So-
I'll ask Mr. Bott. Mr. Bott, are you aware of any reason we cannot get treasurer's reports on a monthly basis?
No, not really. I mean, we have the information. It's just a question of compiling it. Sometimes with information like that, what's critical is when you receive the investment report. But what you would do in that situation, if you didn't have it, maybe you would be 1 month, behind in that. Say if you're reporting through the end of June, at the end of July, you may not have June's information, but you'd be reporting through May 31st. There'd be a little bit of a lag in how current those reports are.
Right, but as I understand the auditor's note, they're not saying that the report has to be within 30 days of closing. It just says it has to be a monthly report. And if there were a monthly report, then after the first monthly report, you would be consistently getting 30 days worth of reporting. And any lag would be consistent, so you're not really having a lag after that. It would just be what happened in the last 30 days.
Correct.
Relative to the last report.
Correct.
So reconciliations, I just want to run through these. You believe we are doing everything we can and there's nothing more that finance can do to improve reconciliations within a 30-day basis, right?
There's more that both the treasurer's office and my staff can do to help. We're busy, so we have to find time in our schedule to pick up the reconciliation process. I've been trying to do that every day, but we're to the point where I think I need some training from the treasurer and his staff as to how they go through and reconcile the deposits, and he has offered that training.
Is that part of the MOU, the reconciliations?
Yep.
Do we need
Yes.
to amend the MOU to provide that training?
No, not in my opinion.
Can you identify how much order of magnitude that we incurred in penalties and interest resulting from the late payroll taxes?
No, I can't. Those penalties and any interest charges are currently being appealed by the treasurer, and I do not know what the status of those appeals or inquiries of either the IRS or the state are at this point.
Is Woodhill still providing services to the county, to your knowledge?
No.
Did
they're
they
not.
ever?
Not to my knowledge. I'm not 100% certain. It was limited, if anything.
Is Gratiot County still providing services to the county, to your knowledge?
No.
Did
not
they
to my
ever?
knowledge. I don't believe so.
The rest of my questions will be for the treasurer then.
Any more questions for Mr. Bott?
Go
ahead.
If I may,
Please.
to Commissioner Spence's point and others as well, we also are hearing a lot of information input, questions from those that rely on information from the treasurer's office. I routinely reach out to Treasurer Callahan. He's receptive to the information. Whether or not we can provide adequate and satisfactory responses to them, we have not yet found that ability. And Mr. Bott and the treasurer are working together to try to find a way through this, but I want the board to understand that Mr. Bott does not have statutory authority over certain things. The treasurer has statutory authority, meaning the only way we can do certain things is by the blessing of the treasurer. And we've worked through the MOU. Maybe it's not completely capturing all things that need to occur, but Dean and I talk about this weekly, if not multiple times a week. And again, Mr. Callahan is always receptive to us asking questions about where is this report, or how does an entity get this information. We hear it, we recognize it, we are limited in what we can actually do about it. So I thank Mr. Bott for his efforts. A question was asked, what would you do if you were the board? I would continue pressure. I would continue publicly working to find the answer to these questions and make sure that we are ultimately accountable to the people and to the state of Michigan through the auditing process.
I am fully committed to continue to work with the treasurer, and that's includes my staff. So I want this to be, I want our accounting records and receipting to be current. I want it to be accurate, and I do not want to have audit issues with our 2026 audit. We have a lot of work that needs to be done. I'm not afraid of doing the work.
That is, Mr. Bott is not, nor his staff. They work very hard. We have a lot of good things going. You saw in that audit also, you saw our bond rating. We still are a AA+ bond rating. The county is in very good financial position. We need to fix this problem. And it's frustrating that we're not there. And I guess I'll leave it at that.
Mr. Bott, do you, given all of the resources that your team is putting into this issue, do you have the resources you need in finance? Do we need to bring on any temporary help? Do we need to budget for another person next year? Looking ahead, what are there other resources that we need to consider to help your team so that you're not working nights and weekends and your team? I mean, we can't, that's not sustainable.
You will see a request for additional finance staff in the 2027 budget request. We did talk about that, I believe, in 25 or 26.
Yeah.
At that time, it was determined that there wasn't an interest in that. We're moving forward with that request.
I currently have the staff, I believe, to assist the treasurer's office to get current. I need staff that have knowledge of our ERP, our Workday application. I have one person who's reconciling several accounts entirely, and to have that knowledge, I would not want to train somebody. The 5 of us up in finance are able to do more, and we can assist. So I'm good with what I have right now to get this.
Yeah, and Mr. Bott and I had this conversation this week. No, it was last week. There comes a point in time where administratively we have to protect the staff that we have and make sure that they're functioning the way they can function and remain healthy. I don't believe that is the case currently. So with all respect to Mr. Bott, whom I have a great amount of respect for, we need to have an additional finance staff to help the finance department as a whole do what they need to do on a daily basis.
Would this just be a temporary safety net measure?
I don't anticipate that, Commissioner Franks.
Because if the treasurer's department functioned fully at 100%, would Mr. Bott's finance department need to be as involved as they are right now?
Well, hopefully at some point in time, the treasurer can do all of this work with his staff. I don't see that being the short-term solution. I'm thankful that we have the memo of understanding, and that just myself and my 4 other people that work with me, we've got the knowledge of the system, and we're doing some reconciliation work. It just makes sense to not try to train somebody else to do that. And I don't have the time to train anybody
Yeah.
right now, so.
But if the treasurer's department did what they do, you wouldn't be as involved as you currently
Correct.
are.
Correct.
So if you get extra help, if we use our money from the county to provide you with extra help, in the future, would you need that extra help if you're independent of what the treasurer's department is doing? I don't know if I'm
would
making sense, but
respectfully say that that's a discussion, I think, through the budget process, and not something I'd really want to answer today. We have other things that we're thinking that we might be doing that
From my
just not prepared to discuss at this point.
From my perspective, Commissioner Spence, we have some new programming coming into play here. We have community development spinning up. We have a grant. That part of that is going to be a grant writer. There are going to be new programs and services coming online that will add strain to the finance department and administration. So while we're not just trying to fix or fill a gap that we need right now, I think we're going to need to fill a gap in the future. And I would like our finance team, administrative team, to be on solid footing as we start to roll these programs out so that we can make sure they're successful.
so when that's presented to us, we'll have it clearly outlined as to how this temporary work for this expanded finance department will then jump into other duties and other responsibilities in the future.
Yes.
Sounds good?
Any more questions for Mr. Bott?
Thank you, Mr. Bott.
Mr. Bott,
Thank
you'd
you.
like to say anything in summation,
No.
closing?
Thank you for being kind.
Yeah, we didn't want to put you on the spot, Mr. Bott.
I don't feel like I'm on the spot. I know what we need to do. I just can't do everything by myself.
Sure.
And my staff. I need to work with another department and an elected official, and that's just not black and white, so.
Thank you for all you've done on this and everything else
Yep,
that you
thank
do.
you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. So we did move an item for the agenda for the treasurer's report, and I see that Treasurer Callahan is here. Do we want to do this now, or do you want to take a 5 or 10-minute break and then come back?
Let's do it now.
5-minute break.
The girls say break.
Well, I know better than to argue with that. We're going to take a 10-minute break. Nothing's really up.
You tell her to wear long sleeves.
I think I have to have approval, don't I?
Don't
Your wife says, right?
Yeah, that's right.
What's that?
That's what your wife says.
You know what my wife says? No, I have no approval. There is no. I do get one veto a month. I think it's been after, yeah, but it's been pushed down to about one every 6 months is what I think is what's happened.
They would take busloads of kids, like the whole school, and it was like, we never knew there was an option.
Typically agree.
Everyone did.
She's the smartest person.
You bring your sack lunch, you leave it on the bus. They drop you off, they all took a row, and they're detasseling corn.
I'm very infrequently the smartest person.
For 4 hours.
Certainly not when my children are.
Detasseling, draw cut on, it's like 98 degrees.
And when they gang up on
To
you,
a row, whatever, miles down.
Don't worry, the older they
There's the
get,
bus
the
sitting
smarter
there,
you
eat your
get
lunch, and then
in their
do it
eyes.
again, and
yeah, my kids are young,
5,
22
6
and
o'clock,
14.
and they pick
I
you up
got a
and
ways
take
to
you
go.
home. You're back 7 o'clock the next morning.
But they are definitely my children. They spend 5 minutes together, and they're like, holy crap. My genes are strong.
Detasseling corn. Yeah, right.
Oh, did ya?
I know, I watched online.
Oh, you did? Okay.
So,
Quite raucous.
Say what?
He said that he got old enough that they're offering people to.
I would like
prohibit
that.
it. I thought,
Pretty much
it's
every.
gotta be better.
That's what Heidi said.
Detasseling corn. He says, then I'm out there.
I think we should have
straws. You're having to throw those things all day. He says, I'm not sure which was better.
I did. I went down and checked in on him. And
Right, yeah,
They're wanting
yeah.
to
Do they have combines, or I mean, not combines, but machines to detassel corn now? How do they do that? Yeah, I don't know the answer.
I said you were fine. I said you didn't need anything. Christine was going to try to bring you.
I would think that, yeah, I don't know.
I may want to reword that. Essentially, yes.
I can't believe that's how they do it. I've never seen anyone have ever.
Such the butter and pennies.
I don't know.
But that's awesome.
But he talks about it. He said it's like going through boot camp, It's just like that was just a rite of passage where he grew up. And
I don't know if they send
Yeah.
us anything at this point in time, or we're pretty much done.
Fall over.
no pun intended, but you just stepped in it.
Oh, man. Are you going golfing too?
Colorblind, you can't see.
Okay.
Well, that's the joke. Seems different to me.
Well, we got left to do, we got Jamie and we got Jamie, opioid, preamble. Yeah, closed
Knock
session.
it out. Are you colorblind? No. Okay.
But I'm, ADA aware.
Jamie's here, you're here, we're waiting for Fern.
Yep.
Brian.
On the revenue line, I'm stuck with weddings.
Oh,
30, $60 a shot will make, should ship things
What's your
down.
thought here on that one?
Thank you. I appreciate that.
No problem. That's no worries. Pardon me.
I don't know what Brian is, but.
What's left?
Snacks get stuck in your teeth.
Glad it's yours.
It's this thing
Nice
that
color.
keeps popping up on my
Big LL beer.
A fan of blue.
Mm-hmm.
I try to change, but I just can't escape blue.
It's too good.
more rugged outdoor type stuff.
Fresh water. Oh, congratulations on the swim today.
Thank you so much.
All right, our 10 minutes and a little bit are up. I'm going to call this meeting back to order. If you recall, we pulled something off the consent calendar, a treasurer report, I believe. What was that, A6? Treasurer, yep, department update. We moved it to after our discussion with Mr. Bott on our annual audit. And the treasurer is here, so I'm just going to invite Treasurer Callahan to come to the podium. I'm just going to ask you your questions, and I'm sure he can answer them. Good morning. Thanks for coming in, Treasurer Callahan.
Good morning, Commissioner. I'm not too sure kind of exactly, if I mean, we've talked about a lot of different parts of things, be it, I think there was some questions in regards to my my report, as well as that there was some discussions that we had having to do with the audit. So I'm not, I'm open as to how you'd like to proceed specifically. So
I'm going to
I
just
don't know if you have a preference. Mr.
I'm going
Chair.
to just cut to the chase because Commissioner Walter had questions, and I'm going to give her the floor, and then we can go from there. 'Cause she had questions for you in the
Sure,
report.
we could start with the reconciliation issue. That was one flag from your report that jumped out at me, and then Mr. Bott recommended we share some of those questions with you as well that came out of the audit related to those bank reconciliations not being timely for the last several years, and that we're not caught up again. It's an area we've mentioned many times, and we've been told many times that we're getting caught up and we've got a plan, and it sounds like there's a new plan that was just communicated. So can you share with us how we're going to tackle this?
Sure. Yeah, thank you for that. One thing I did actually wanted to mention before I go into that, just to let everybody know, what Director Bott was talking earlier, having to do with our bond proceeds and our bond sale and those funds slated to be coming in. I did want to let you know that this morning I have confirmed with our bank that those funds have been wired into our account. So our bond proceeds have been wired in with us and confirmed back with Raymond James and the folks there. So that process is moving forward, and the funds are in our account right now. So was going to mention that right off the top, and kind of got sidetracked a little bit. In regards to some of our kind of the next push on reconciliations, and is a little bit more aggressive, but we kind of feel that it needs to be in that regard, and looking to have all of our, our statements and information entered into Workday, into the system by the end of the month. We're starting a new process in our office where we'll be doing daily reconciling when we do our morning deposit confirmations. So as part of that, we'll then also be working to reconcile those items out of Workday, so that will essentially continue to keep us current. Our credit cards and that reconciliation, that's the other big part of it, is that we're going to do that. Right now, the idea is to do it every Friday. Credit card, and we're not doing those daily because credit card transmissions and things can kind of lag a little bit depending on when they send it. The stuff that we would get, that we receipt in through teller the day before, is in our bank account the next day. So we're able to do that on a much more regular basis. When the credit card information kind of processes through, sometimes it takes a day or two, so we need to wait, because if we could try and do it immediately the day after, it's very likely that not all those transactions have been fully processed through and into our account yet. So right now we're going to look at doing those weekly on Fridays to be able to get into that rotation, and that should help us a lot as we move forward on taking a lot of those reconciled things out of the to-do pile and just having them being done much more regularly. So that's kind of the big push. We also came up with Director Bott on having to kind of unravel how that reconciling goes, and having some additional training, working with him to be able to do that, to help with some of the things prior to August 1 for that part of reconciling. It's a pretty complex way of having to try and reconcile through the teller system, the Workday system, our cash management spreadsheet that we keep on all the breakdowns of all the different deposits and sources of the funds, and how it all works, and how do you kind of peel back that onion of a deposit. Like, for example, via cash or a credit card deposit or something, they don't come by department, so it's not like the construction code will have a single one, or a lot of times, like with checks, and so then it's one big blob of a deposit. So then you have to try and figure out what are the 8 different things that make up that deposit from various departments and things. So it's a little tedious, a little complex. Like I said, kind of peeling an onion. Or a spider web on how to how to fit all the pieces together to make sure that you're reconciling that deposit with those numbers, so that you're not reconciling something that you shouldn't be, because then you have to undo it and then start over. And that's not very fun.
Doesn't sound fun.
No. So that's kind of the big high points when it comes to kind of the new thing on keeping current, partnering with the finance department on some additional training to be able to really dig in to the other things to really punch them out. We have been making some progress on punching out some things, and so there's a point when you get to the really kind of the ugly ones that really kind of take some time to try and figure out what the heck's going on with it.
So you think by the end of this, so it sounds like by the end of this quarter, by the end of the third quarter, you'll have everything resolved and your new system in place to go forward with accurately reconciling within 30 days of the month end?
I sure want to. I mean, like Director Bott said, when it comes to, being able to want to have, a life outside of this job, I certainly want to. I think that we've come, our staff feels that the plan that we've put together is probably the best plan that we've put together so far. So I'm feeling real optimistic. I know that we're definitely going to be making some strides. We know that we've got, whatever today is, 18 days to really push and crush as much as we can to get to get as much done as we possibly can, because we know that we have to.
You want to take a break?
I need a break.
Commissioner Andrews.
Your report, which was dated July 7th, over a month ago, said, quote, "We expect to make solid progress in the coming month." Where are you now on reconciliations? How many accounts are more than 30 days behind?
To get you a reasonable number, I would have to honestly follow back with you on that and connect with my staff and the team in the office. They've been working on that, so I can't give you a solid number as to number of counts and things as to which ones are more caught up than others on that. It wasn't something I have handy, but it's something that I can get for you.
I think one thing I thought we asked for was information on reconciliations that would help us have some sense of where we're at, and the report we got from July doesn't really help us know where we're at on reconciliations. Could your monthly reports going forward provide additional detail on how many accounts are more than 30 days behind and how much more than 30 days are they behind? Is that something you could provide in a monthly report?
We should be able to do that, Commissioner.
I think that would help us just to have our arms around, like, are we talking one account that's 32 days, or are we talking 17 accounts that are 90 days, right? Like the scale of the challenge.
Sure.
Just, that would be great.
Sure.
And are we talking, $10,000 of unreconciled things? Are we talking $7 million of unreconciled? Like, I have no sense of the scale with you just saying we're working on it,
So I'd like to clarify that. Are we talking about, as a presentation for clarity for the treasurer, saying next month, it's like, here's our reconciliations, we have 17 accounts that are up to this many days late for up to this amount of money? Or are we talking about it's listed individually, this account is 7 days late for this amount of money?
I would leave it up to the treasurer, but how many accounts, how far is each behind, and how much money is at issue? I think those are the three things we flagged. If you want to do it, accounts, this account, if it's easier for you to have a list of all the accounts and all that information, that's fine with me. If it's easier to just say,
I got 2 accounts, they're up to 45 days late for this total amount of money.
Yep.
Okay.
You might be able to answer what makes more sense than, than we
Right,
can.
yeah,
but-
exactly.
It might be easier to do it on an account basis. If that's already data you have, it might be easier not to. So I don't, yeah, I agree.
Okay.
But that, I think that would help us get some scale.
Okay.
Commissioner Henschel.
Thank you. Thanks for being here, Mr. Treasurer. Short notice, but you made it. Thank you. It's a testament that you really do care. Have you reviewed the auditor's comments regarding the audit that was on our agenda today?
Yes, I have. It's been a little bit.
Okay.
So that I tried to pull it, that part of it really quick before I came up, and I pulled the wrong section of the audit, so.
Okay, so I'm
I
stepping
know that we
back.
went through it, and the director did go through that, and they did reference that I do have one point of contention with the auditors on one
Okay.
of their findings.
Would you want to expound on that?
Sure,
or
yeah,
save it
sure.
for- Okay.
There was one, oh, thank you. The one in particular had to do with I'm trying to look and see it, but having to do with the notifications of delinquent taxes and process and noticing and procedures. I take issue with that one. In that we do the way that the BSNA software system works is that when you run a report to send out all the delinquent tax notices, it automatically logs it into the system, and so then it's tagged in there that property received a notice. And what the auditors normally do is that they come in when they've got a list of like 25 parcels that they randomly pull, and then we go through and find proof within BSNA that they were sent one. It's an automated system on the BSNA side of it. We went through that. I had some difficulty remembering from the year before how I found that information to prove to the auditors. So it took a bit for me to work to re-navigate BSNA again to find it. And then once we did, we were able to go through it. I will say afterwards, we went through it. I found a much easier way to be able to find that information. There was one of the 25, there was one entry that I was struggling with on finding the parcel, but then also finding the spot within that parcel in regards to the notification. And I had trouble finding it, and essentially so that one was left as a gap on that one. And that's what they used on that one item to create that system. And I've reached out to the auditor to have a conversation about that, but I've not heard back.
Okay.
And that was shortly after the audit was released.
So the audit report as a whole gives several recommendations. I assume if you've looked through it, you've seen the recommendations. And I boiled it down to like 6. Reconcile all cash accounts in the general ledger throughout the year, and then complete bank reconciliations accurately within 30 days after the month end. Treasurer provides an investment report to the board every month. The post receipt deposits into accounting system promptly, and then remit federal and state payroll taxes on time.
Mm-hmm.
And then the 6th one was follow and document delinquent tax notification requirements, which you mentioned they may have got a bad read because of the software was complicated.
My opinion versus theirs, but yeah.
But you eventually figured it out just, a minute too late to show them, hey, it was done, I assume?
Yeah, I would need to go back again to find it, but
Okay.
It was definitely a much easier way once I.
Do all
Once I
these
found that within BSNA.
recommendations seem reasonable to you?
They do.
Okay.
They do, and they may.
Should they be
common
like a
sense thing.
standard to strive towards, or should they be a baseline, like we don't go below this standard?
There There are a couple that, like, they talk about the investment, the monthly investment report. I think I'd probably lean a little bit more with Director Bod in that, maybe quarterly or bi-monthly is maybe a little bit more reasonable, but not saying that it's not something that we can't do.
Okay.
On that sort of thing, but that's just more of a personal opinion versus anything. I mean,
So in reflecting on this audit report, would you be supportive of a county policy that codifies that this board expects this as a finance policy? We do all these things?
Yeah, I would say so. I think that things are always going to pop up in a department. We lost. We were down 40% of our staff for a while on that, which creates some. Which slows some things down, which then makes it harder to be able to, adhere and meet these some of these standards. But that's part of what we're doing now is getting back to things. I think all the things in here are reasonable expectations.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Treasurer.
Any more questions for Commissioner Callahan? Commissioner Walter?
I just have a few more from the list, some clarification that we asked earlier and wondered if you had the answer to, related to the delinquent, the penalties and interest related to the federal and state payroll taxes that were not remitted timely. Do we have any number that you can share with us on that?
I don't have a number on that right now. I do know that the IRS has asked for more time to get back with us on that. One of the other parts of that is that I think that there's a difference on what the standard from the IRS is 3 days, and of when you submit your tax information that you remit the payment to the government. Understandable. And for, I think, a very long time, it's been 3 business days. So many times we would file our information and then on Monday would send in the money and everything was fine. It seems at some point possibly that changed in that 3 business days became 3 days. And so if you had a holiday on a Friday, you submit your stuff on Friday, but if we were to do it and then send the money on Monday, we're now at 4 days. So then the IRS feels that there's a violation, and so there's some of our back and forth that we're going on. It's still within 3 business days, but 4 calendar days. And then therefore, from an IRS perspective, that is a penalty. And so that's part of some of our conversations are related to those things.
So you think both the federal government and state government changed their policy somehow in the last year?
We're trying to figure out what was going on there. Was there a point? Was there a notice that it became 3 days versus 3 business days? We've pretty much said that the day that we do it, we send the money that day, same day. So
okay, so you've changed the practice now.
We've changed our
to
practice
just
in
do
the
it.
office,
Okay.
yes. So we're
Good.
definitely not going to kind of try and play calendar versus business days anymore.
Yeah. And you mentioned with Commissioner Henschel asking you about delinquent tax notifications, there was a discrepancy with how, finding the documentation within the BSNA software. But then the audit report also says some that were documented were not sent timely. So it wasn't just one, and that some were not documented and some that were documented were not sent timely. So it sounds like it's more than just you couldn't find it in there.
And that's part of the conversation that I still would like to have with the auditor.
Okay. That's just kind of an open disagreement with the auditor on
Yes.
that. Okay.
In the interest of transparency, I would like to request if your next monthly report could provide us with an update both on the federal and state payroll taxes issue, how much, how often, and what's been done to resolve it, so that we can close the loop on that. And with the delinquent tax notifications, sort of the same thing. How big of a problem was that, and what's the status on those appeals or those conversations, I think, with the auditors, just so that having it in writing ahead of time may answer all our questions, prevent putting you on the spot, and then just be able to close the loop on some of these concerns that the auditors have flagged in the
Sure.
public interest. And then the last, unless Commissioner Walter was going to circle back to it.
I have another question.
Could we aim for a quarterly investment report? I think
Absolutely.
that would be well received as a starting point. And if it's easy enough, then maybe we phase into monthly, but at least let's start with quarterly.
Can do.
Quarterly seems very reasonable.
Yeah,
I
that's
don't
how it
need
used to
monthly.
be
Yeah.
in
I don't
prior
need
years.
monthly.
We can
That
get
would
that
be
going.
very helpful. Thank you.
Treasurer Callahan, what's going on with the treasurers? Because commissioners are hearing from them. It sounds like from your report that you had your summer meeting and that things are better, but people are still hearing from the treasurers, and Mr. Bott, who is also a township treasurer, is also having, sounds like, ongoing issues. So what do we do about that?
I think it's primarily probably more of a communications issue where probably more updates coming from our office to the treasurers, just as so that they know what's in, kind of where we are on what's going on. We've always advocated for open lines of communication. I hear from a number of them regularly on things. If they've got questions, they give me a call on various issues or questions that they have on certain things. On the tax disbursements that are going on right now, we are processing those. One of the things that we've got a bit of a hiccup on is related to our cloud conversion in BSNA, and we're working with our local with that cloud conversion. The format in which they submit their data has to be different. They have to upload their data differently and convert it differently. We'd communicated that to them in the past. I think that some of the townships submitted it in an old format, and so we are working with them for them to redo their reports and get those into us. So we know that the information lines up, but we can't import their data right now. So we intend to have that resolved next week on that part of it, and hopefully continue to work with them, because it's, they've forever and a day have submitted their information in one certain way. And so I think it's kind of one of those memory things. When it's time to upload the data, you click, 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 and send it out, versus, oh, the county has a new system, I got to do it differently. And so I think that the ones that send it in the old format just were used to done what they've always done. And so we just need to work with them a little bit to remind them of the new format.
Any more questions or comments for Treasurer Callahan? Thanks for the impromptu drop-in and
No problem. One real quick thing. I think, Commissioner Walter, you may have had a question, I think, early on having to do with our cloud conversion in BSNA that we did. Was that? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Commissioner Flynn.
Yes. Is that going well as staff?
It's when you have any new computer program, it's a challenge. So there's definitely a learning curve still with that, even though we were familiar with the system before. I would love for cloud conversions to essentially be, and this is my perfect world, where you take what you're using and then you just take it off of this server and you put it in the cloud server, and that nothing changes. But I think programmers and the people that write the programs think it's a great opportunity to update and revise everything. And so you get the same functionality, but it's a matter of now you got to try and refine it. And how do you redo the same report that you're so used to doing, but it's not like that anymore because it's not where you do this drop down and you go over here and you do it. Now it's through this other icon here and you have to be in this report. So there's more clicks. There's more clicking that seems to be having to go. We're having some trouble with our daily cash reconciling that we do. It's twice as long now to get done. The main reason on that is that we, as a county, do not have the cash receipting module of BSNA, and they wrote their cloud system for counties that do, because I think we are the only one that does not have the cash receipting module. We use the teller cash receipting and that integration. So it is hard, it's more difficult now on that part to make sure that we're balancing it. There's a problem with it in that it's not recording change properly, which is pretty quirky on that. It's like double counting change so that your cash is going to be off, and so we've taken some steps on how to deal with that.
I'm assuming there's like a hotline or there's someone
Yeah.
call, since it's new, for the next 6
Yeah,
months.
we've got an open line into the customer support, tech support people on it. They're aware of it, and they're working on it.
All right.
Thank you.
Have you looked into the possibility of that other system instead of Teller? It sounds like Teller was listed earlier as a quirky anomaly.
There's overall Teller is a decent program on that. There's some it's not a fully integrated system like Director Bott was saying when it comes to Workday, and to be able to, when you're in Workday, to essentially click on something that says Teller and all the Teller data shows up. You have to go out and go into Teller. So there's minimal integration. We are, I am trying to look at possibly, the opportunities for some cash receipting, how can we solve this through, a different cash receipting module, and whether that's an option or an opportunity or not on that part of it. So I've got a meeting in a couple weeks on that with the BSNA people to talk about that as well. So
Have you
we'll see
explored
where that
any
comes.
AI opportunities to help with, so it sounds like a lot of the issues have to do with a lot of manual work and entries, and I'm just wondering if there's any chatter or information with other counties, treasurers, offices across the country who are incorporating some.
In the world of treasurers, we are relatively slow to embrace change. I know the treasurers, the Statewide Treasurers Association is finishing up their meeting right now, their summer conference down in Bay City. We're starting to have more sessions and discussions about AI and how AI could be of benefit in helping county treasurers be able to do their jobs. But it's we're as an organization, but then also as a profession, still a little slow on embracing technology to do certain things versus the processes or the software that we have. We're getting there, but it's a little bit of a crawl.
Any more questions or comments for the treasurer? Anything to sum up?
Great to see y'all again.
I guess in the future, I would assume that if you have a report in here, that you would be here to answer any questions about it. So if that
Okay,
can happen moving forward, that would be great.
Got it. Thank you.
Right, thank you. So we're going to move right along.
So we need to make a motion to receive.
We do.
I'll make the motion to receive the treasurer's report.
All right. We have a motion by Commissioner Flynn and a second by Commissioner McAllister to receive and file was that 6? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed say nay. Fantastic. Going on to 8B, District Court Use of Opioid Funds. by all means, good luck.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Guys have a great day.
Have fun.
He's out doing government business. We're excusing Administrator Alger and Deputy Administrator Forsyth. So, thank you. Dean's in charge. Boy, oh boy. Wow. And our negotiations for contract just took a hit because it just went up. Anyway, 86 District Court use of opioid funds. Typically, the 86 District Court Administrator would be here to make this request. We had talked about this, I think, 4 weeks ago, last month at any rate. They want to change. We approved opioid funds for some testing, and as it turns out, and so it talk in the letter, they're asking to redefine that money that we've already awarded to them. This is not in addition, because they do get state funding for those services that they ask for us to give them opioid funds for. Ms. Taylor can't be here, and the judges are in court in another county. That's just the way district court works on Wednesday, fortunately for us. So I'm going to look for a motion to approve as presented.
There's no, like, motion, though. There's just.
There is not.
It's
So-
just discussion and then their request. So is that legally enough for us to make a motion to expand the authorized uses as outlined?
Well, we could say we're down with this request and have a resolution on the consent calendar next meeting, which is next week.
Okay.
So is there any concerns with working request?
Second.
All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Walter, a second by Commissioner Flynn to bring back a resolution and approval of their request. Comments, questions, concerns?
I have a request, sorry.
Go right ahead. Commissioner Anderson.
We did get a request for information from media, how much money are we talking about, how much has been used and how much has been left. This may be something that Administrator Bott can tell us about. Just for the public record, I believe it was $39,000 was the original request, but I'll let you, if you can provide that. And then the second part I was going to say is, can the resolution include that so we have a paper trail of how much money it is we're talking about when that comes back? But go ahead.
So Commissioner Andrews, you are correct. It was $39,500 that the board approved. When I looked at this, and I did respond to a request from the ticker, I had looked at this early June. They had spent somewhere in the $13,500 range. So they would have approximately $25,000, maybe $25,500 of those funds still available for use at this point. So say 25,000 would be available if I don't want to get it too close. I don't know for sure, but there haven't been a lot of expenditures over the last couple of months, so I'm going to say 25,000.
So since they're not here, and maybe just in the interest of the report, this feels like a one-off to me because we now have the opioid process that has a lot more transparency, I think, around it in terms of report backs. I think we're expecting that we will get regular reports from people when we give them public money like this going forward, but this one came under a prior grant a year or more, 2 years ago.
The
So-
first,
Like one of
yeah.
the first things we approved.
yeah.
Yeah, I think it's been a long time, 2 years now, maybe. So I would like to request, if they're willing, for the court to provide us with a look back on what the funds were spent on at some point. And I would also like to incentivize spending, to Commissioner Walter's point in prior meetings. Our goal is not to make this money last as long as possible. Our goal when we gave this funding, and only this funding, this was the only thing we substantially have spent opioid money on, we wanted it spent. And I appreciate that they're having a challenge spending it on drug testing in the drug court for various reasons, but by opening up what it can be used for, I hope that speeds up the rate at which this money can be burned for good things in our community, right? Like, that's what
Yeah.
we want. So I guess I would ask that a resolution cover both what amount was granted, what amount is remaining, request that a report be provided in terms of what was being achieved with it, and then also maybe to put a timeline on it. Could we ask it to be spent by the end of '27? That doesn't seem unrealistic to me.
Sure. And can we add transportation to this request? I see the bullet points, but nothing specific to helping people get.
So I appreciate the creativity, but after talking to the courts about this, one of the challenges is they have funding for things like drug testing, and by having this money designated for drug testing, they can't use other money for drug testing. So they're basically leaving money on the table by having this be so designated. I am reluctant to, I'm reluctant to say, I guess there's no harm in it, but they asked for 4 specific additional things.
The big concern that came out in the conversation we had with them was that we basically said, hey, spend the money for this, and we said, only that. And to Commissioner Andrews' point, they have money coming in for that, and that's why a lot of it's sitting on the table. And so without actually talking to them directly, I would be cautious about adding things to that, because that might cut off avenues of funding from the state and the federal government, because, well, we get funding from the county for that, so we're gonna dial back where we're gonna give you. I mean, we had a good conversation with them. They were specific. They know to be specific in their requests, and now we understand that.
So are you saying, because the drug testing, one of the most important parts of getting drug testing is getting there, so you're saying that there's other ways for people to get there?
No, but there is probably a reason they didn't put it in there to ask for it, because they do know that transportation is an issue.
Exactly.
But there may be another funding stream, just like this, that, oops, they can't use because they have this for that. So I think they specifically asked for these areas because these were more open-ended areas that they could use the funding for.
Exactly.
So
my
I don't
point.
want
Thank you.
to give them something to do that they're like, no, we can't, you know,
I'm going to trust that they ask
Okay.
for what they need.
Yeah.
for this anyway, yeah.
Agreed that transportation, we know, is a huge issue, and hopefully
Yep.
that will come
And
through.
I'm sure when the grants for the opioid money comes through, there's going to be
Transportation.
Transportation
Yeah, that was definitely
asks.
high on the list.
High on the list,
Needs.
that's good, okay, thank you.
I heard
So
that.
we have a motion.
So the request was for spending to try to spend all the funds by the end of '27.
Yes.
They're on that
But
motion.
will all
Mr.
be in a resolution that they would present, and it can
Yes.
go on.
Is
on-
the request for the resolution part of the motion?
Yes.
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 Okay, so, and I have them as, included in the resolution should be an amount granted, a report on the amount granted, the amount remaining, what has been achieved or to be achieved, and a timeline for the expenditure of funds?
I think we'd like a post-spending report instead of what has been achieved and to be achieved. I don't need that today, but I think we want a post-spending report of what was achieved.
Yeah, so instead of updates all throughout the course of their spending, let's just do one at the tail end of it.
Right. And telling them that sooner so that we're not adding a new obligation later seems like it's a good idea.
And can we also add to it, since we were asking them to spend the money by the end of '27, that by the end of the first quarter of '28, we will have that report?
Yes.
Put a timeline on it. Boy, that seems far away, but it'll be here before we know it.
Way quicker than we are going to be happy with.
Yeah, right.
Yikes. So I guess those were all friendly amendments that I'll accept.
I as well.
You want to read it back, or give us your notes?
So, yes, so basically, the motion is to bring a resolution and request for, bring back a resolution on an upcoming consent calendar at the next meeting.
It doesn't have to be at the next meeting, because that's next week.
On an upcoming consent calendar, then?
Yep.
With language to be included in the resolution for the amount granted, the amount remaining, a report on a post-spending report, and a timeline for the expenditure of funds for the first quarter of 27.
The post-spending report by end of first quarter 28.
Yeah, but the spending of funds by the end of '27, I think we mix those up.
Yep.
Got it.
Maybe for clarity, to spend by the end of 2027 and provide a post-spending report by the end of first quarter 28, so that it's sort of sequential.
Clear as mud.
Clear as mud. It's Christmas list. All right, there's nothing further. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Fantastic. To 8C, rules related to the preamble for public comment. I read the rules for public comment today. We're looking at some changes, and as I sat through there and I read it, it became clear that some of the rules we don't use anymore. And so Commissioner Henschel had offered the idea, is that he's on the policy review committee, that maybe we should take a little bit deeper look than just do something off the cuff this afternoon. Or, excuse me, it's still this morning, my apologies, it feels like this afternoon. So I'm going to recommend that we direct this to the policy review committee for some recommendations at a future date, say, after your next meeting.
Second.
We've got a couple other things on there, so I don't know that it'll be that soon, but.
Well, it's not, I think Sam and I could probably figure it out between the two of us until such time, but I mean, there's things that are in
Not
there
a
that need
deep
review.
dive, but there's some stuff in here that, we don't use. It's been there for years and it never got used. There's nothing in the rules that says Sam has to read these rules every meeting. They could be on the back of the agenda, Those are the kind of ideas I think we'd want to send over to the policy committee to kind of write down and bring back to the board.
I think it's appropriate, instead of us trying to spend time figuring it out today.
What we want is, number one, to streamline the rules, and number two is to amend the bylaws to not have to have it read at every meeting.
It's not in the bylaws that it has to be read.
Okay, so maybe we need to.
Yeah, so let's
It's
have
just a
her.
practice that
Let's-
Bonnie as clerk did forever, and she just kept doing it, so everyone thought it had to be done that way, but it doesn't.
Well, and to be fair to Bonnie and I have had conversations about, hey, we should change this, we should change that. We had some conversations, and unfortunately, it just kind of fell by the wayside, and I think a policy review committee recommendation is probably the best way to go to all encompass that.
I'm happy to roll up my sleeves and bring some stuff to the committee, and if the committee approves it, bring it back.
Perfect. Any objections to that? Beautiful. I don't think we need a motion for that. So, unfinished business.
There was a motion, wasn't there?
I think I just said I'd like to.
Well, he said he wanted, and then I said second, so the chair has to
Oh, there you go.
recognize
So I
that.
made the motion, and then let's be legit and,
Do you think there's a motion on this?
I believe there to be one on the floor, but.
all right,
Do
so
whatever you'd like.
all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Thank you for that. No unfinished business, no new business, Commissioner administration reports. Commissioner Henschel.
We did have our meeting with the BPW yesterday afternoon. It was just a listening session. We didn't deliberate, nothing to bring back as a committee, but I feel like we heard them and understand a little bit more. We're going to meet again to discuss that and bring a recommendation back to the board.
Excellent. Commissioner Nelson?
At the Airport Authority Board, we've had a resignation due to job restraints that are keeping this individual downstate more, and he's on more responsibilities. But Doug DeYoung has given over 12 years to the NRAA that's a non-paying community service job. He was there for the shepherding through the becoming an authority and for shepherding through the new terminal expansion, and he was a great mentor to me when I joined the board. There's a lot to learn, so I just want to publicly recognize and thank Doug DeYoung for his amazing work for this community. He's on the Traverse Connect board. He's done a lot of other things in this community, and his job is moving him downstate. We're going to miss him in this community, but I don't think he'll be detached completely, but I want to thank him for his service to this community.
I second that. Commissioner Spence?
What's his job?
He works for an energy company.
Well, I did go to the drug court graduation yesterday. We were all invited to 86th District Court. It was really educational. It was really meaningful. I'm glad I went. There's a lot of people in this community that give folks a second chance and hire them and put them on work release so that they can do meaningful jobs and make some money while they're becoming better citizens and going through the recovery process. Just wanted to share that, but I also tied it into my invocation today, so I'll leave it at that.
Didn't we get these fabulous things from you?
Oh, yeah. We went to NACO. Lauren and I were both there, the National Association of Counties Conference, and there was a lot of good information about workforce development. One of the big highlights was providing childcare to retain employees and to help build a really good workforce. There was a lot about public health and human services, and a lot going on with data centers. That was an area of focus, and we learned a lot about how AI can be used as a useful tool for managing counties, for data collection, organizing information. The United States Department of Transportation at office hours, so we asked them some questions about, well, things that aren't really related to our county but are in some ways. And there was a lot about youth justice, early intervention and probation programs for keeping everyone in line and keeping kids out of jail, and public safety.
Very good, thank you. Commissioner Walter?
Couple things. Went to the fair last night, which is always a highlight of the summer for me. I love to see all the kids and their animals. And so it was a highlight. And so if you haven't been out there yet, I encourage you to make your way out there sometime this week. I believe it goes through Saturday. Anyway, always a fun community event. And Animal Control Ad Hoc met. We will be bringing a draft of the updated ordinance to an upcoming study session. So just to give you a heads up in the public about that legal has looked at it. Many other interested parties have looked at it, and we also got an update at the meeting from Animal Control about the infamous ball python that has officially been reunited with its owner. So that's straight from Animal Control. So never a dull moment around here. I think that's all I wanted to share. Brian?
Roundabouts moving right along. We're still roundabouting. Hopefully we'll be done by November.
This year, right?
We're thinking 2026. It's going to be great.
Okay. Commissioner Flynn?
I'll just touch on NACO with Fern. It was a great experience. You touched on most of the themes that they brought to us in New Orleans. But one thing I do want to say is there were not just county commissioners there. A lot of counties bring their administrators, their public health officials, their sheriffs, because there's opportunities for all different elected officials or department heads. There's a lot of a lot of
Yes.
HR folks were there. So there's opportunities.
Thanks for bringing that up. It was really, really evident. The administrators especially, there were a lot of sessions specifically for county administrators. Thanks, Commissioner Flynn, for bringing that up. And clerks, a lot for clerks, so good information. Hopefully it will work out with your schedules next year to attend.
And a lot of this information's on the website too, so.
Where is it next year?
Savannah.
Georgia?
Georgia.
If you have a hankering for a praline, you might want to sign up.
No hankering. Commissioner Morris?
I don't have a whole lot to share, but I do want to point out that the Python.
This year?
I said to share.
Oh, to share.
Well, other than the Python incident happened in Long Lake Township, never a dull moment.
Perfect. Commissioner Andrews?
A couple of things. I don't want to steal any of your thunder.
Go right ahead.
Since our last meeting, the South Airport River Crossing held the first advisory group meeting at the end of July to bring in partners from all the transportation, recreation, engineering, and municipalities, and I think there were 33 participants, plus I think another 17 provided comments following the meeting and are committed to the process of figuring out how to rebuild the crossing there at Logan's Landing. Property owners were also there. That's going to continue. I think that was the Phase 1 was just getting everybody convened. Now that that's happened, I think we're sort of moving into a Phase 2 of how we're going to pull this off efficiently with all that brain power in one room. So I think that group won't probably meet again until September, likely, just to be efficient with everyone's time. It'll take more time to prepare. I did want everyone to know, especially since Commissioner Spence brought up the drug court, that since our last meeting, the 86th District Court, Judge Cooney put out a notice that went out to all the prosecutors and the local bar association, of which I'm a member, saying that notifying that everyone that the sobriety court and drug court are closed to new participants until further notice due to staff shortages. As we all know, the treatment courts play a critical role in supporting participants, reducing recidivism, and strengthening the community. However, current staffing levels do not allow us to take on any new participants at this time to operate the program safely, responsibly, and in best practices. So that's a real gap for our community that directly impacts us as we're getting closer to budget season and other staffing-related issues. And I wanted everyone to have that knowledge, since I don't think it's been reported publicly. You probably saw the ticker article with GFC. We will be hearing more from GFC at a study session in September, I think, is the planning to bring that back to the board for a deeper dive. It's going to go to the JFAC, which is the Justice Facility Advisory Committee, first, so that they can give it input before it comes back to us. And finally, you will hear from Plant Moran Real Point. I believe they're going to the city first to give an update at their next meeting, and then to us at our next meeting to give an update. So
Next week?
I think it's next week. They're just giving an overview of where they're at so far in the process. So if you see that the city got it first, it's just a scheduling issue, not, so.
Yeah, they're not required any decisions. It's just an update of where they're at in the culmination of data process. That's it. I really don't have anything. Second public comment, once, twice, third time's a charm. Perfect.
Mr. Chair?
Yes,
could
sir.
Could I just offer
100%.
a very quick comment on the election? We just canvassed the election successfully, and I just wanted to acknowledge the hard work of all of the township clerks and their various staffs. We had a perfect reconciliation of ballots cast with applications to vote, which is a great thing, and a lot of people came together to make that a very successful event. So I just wanted to publicly thank them. And now that that's in the books, my first election as clerk, we'll be doing weddings again here. I'm going to be marrying folks if anybody knows anybody who wants to come in and do that. So we'll have those again at the Gov Center.
I'm just going to leave that alone. So,
Decorate a little bit, like we'll have a little white area?
We have staff who's got a lot of great ideas for how to make it celebratory, but if you see me standing in front of the riverbank with two people, next time you're here, you'll see that that's what we're doing.
I think that's great. Thank you.
interesting. For notices, Commissioner Walter, I'm going to start, we can go back the other way. I don't think anybody's got anything else to add. Do you have anything, Mr. Bott?
No, I do not.
Mr. DeFoy? All right. Commissioner Walter commented it's Fair Week. It sure is. It's Special Kids Day, I believe, is today.
Today, yeah.
So if you get a chance to go out there, please do. Also this weekend, well, it starts tomorrow, is the Buckley Old Engine Show. And if you haven't ever been to one of those, you should go. Because it's an eye-opening experience. They have a train, they build leather goods. You know, the food's the food. It's amazing to see the tractors and the history. The Thresher Club out there has got a couple hundred years worth of tractors. And it's an amazing thing. If there's no other, we do have a closed session, so I'll entertain a motion that we go
Mr.
into.
Chairman, I move to go into closed session for a strategy negotiation session connected with a negotiation of a collective bargaining agreement if either the negotiating party requests or a closed hearing as permitted by MCL 15.2681C.
Bless you. Thank you. Motion by Commissioner Henschel, support by Commissioner Nelson. All those in favor, say aye. It's a roll call vote. My apologies. When you're ready, Mr. Gedman.
Commissioner Flynn?
Yes.
Commissioner Henschel?
Yes.
Commissioner McAllister?
Yep.
Commissioner Morris?
Yes.
Commissioner Nelson?
Yes.
Commissioner Spence?
Yes.
Commissioner Walter?
Yes.
Commissioner Andrews?
Yes.
Commissioner Seifert?
Yes. See you all in 10 minutes.
I got the best belt buckle for my husband at the Buckley Old Engine Show. It says Doug. And
Look.
grass, and it's so cool.
I have a friend that goes out there and she buys Christmas presents every year. And she tries to find something
Hey.
that's like
Move to come out of closed session.
I'll second that. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Sweet. There's no comments, questions, or concerns. We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
So I'm gonna go talk to that guy. You wanna talk a minute?